Ms. Cynthia Agbo. Begin the news first with the headlines. Nigerian Senate okays death penalty for drug traffickers. Reps direct CBN to suspend cybersecurity levy. Nigeria's foreign reserves surged by $262 million after weeks of decline. 10 people injured as Boeing 737 skids off runway at Senegal Airport. Atletico win appeal over racist abuse sanction. Details of these and more will come to you in the bulletin. We'll be right back. And now the news in detail. The Senate has approved death sentence as a penalty for drug traffickers in the country as it passes through the third reading, the 2024 NDLEA Act Amendment Bill. The proposal was adopted on Thursday when the Senate dissolved into a committee of the whole for a clause-by-clause consideration of a report of the chairman of the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, and Drugs and Narcotics, Senator Tahir Mungono, in a review of the penalty provisions of the amendment bill towards strengthening the operations of the agency. A proposed amendment to the award to a death sentence to drug traffickers rather than just a life sentence was raised by the Senate Chief Whip and Senator Peter Nweboin under Clause 11. The Senate is fast-tracking the process of proper documentation and protection of human rights of domestic workers and their employers in the country. Lawmakers argue that proper documentation and protection of domestic workers will serve several purposes, including keeping full records of the identities of domestic workers, respecting their fundamental human rights, and provisions for the safety of employers. Leading the debate, the sponsor of the bill, Senator Hussaini Babangida Uba, representing Jigawa Northwest, noted that most domestic workers in the country were either unregistered or not engaged in compliance with labor laws. He further argued that the bill would safeguard the interests of both the domestic worker and their employers by addressing recurring abuses and tragedies such as home helps killing their employers and disappearing with their valuables. In his contribution, Senator Sani Musa observed that in the United Kingdom, for example, the law did not permit the recruitment of a domestic worker without following laid-down procedure. Others, like Senator Adam Soshomole, noted that domestic workers suffered abuses like rape, harassment, and murder, and most of such cases went unreported. The House of Representatives Thursday asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to withdraw the circular directing all banks to commence charging a 0.5% cybersecurity levy on all electronic transactions within the country. The motion on the urgent need to halt and modify the implementation of the cybersecurity levy was moved by the member representing Obio Akbo constituency, Kingsley Chinda. The circular, which was directed to all commercial, merchant, non-interest and payment service banks, among others, noted that implementation of the levy starts 2 weeks from Monday, May 6, 2024. Civil society organizations across the country and journalists stormed the Nigeria Police Force headquarters in Abuja, demanding the release of Daniel Ojukwu, a detained journalist with the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. The protesters, who carried banners with different inscriptions, said Ojukwu was moved to the National Cybercrime Center in Abuja on Sunday by the Intelligence Response Team of the Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetokun. Our correspondent, Irene Okechukwu, has more on this.
Daniel Ojukwu went missing on Wednesday, May 1st, with his phone numbers turned off, leaving his whereabouts unknown to colleagues, family, and friends. Efforts by the Foundation for Investigative Journalism to file a missing person report at police stations in the area where Ojukwu was last seen proved abortive. Condemning the act, presidential candidates of the African Action Congress in the 2023 general elections, Omoyele Sowore, described his arrest and detention as unlawful and unconstitutional.
I can tell you that they are detaining him under very terrible conditions. He has not had his medicine for days now. Position is that nobody wants to be in detention, and nobody should be in detention.
According to civil society organizations, if Daniel Ojukwu is accused of a crime, he should be promptly charged and given a fair trial under the Nigerian law, which presumes one innocent until proven guilty. If not, he should be released immediately.
Daniel Ojukwu is not a criminal, and he has not been held for a murder allegation. So why is he being held for 8 days without access? And so even when our lawyers had gone to the FCID to communicate with the team and to get his bail, he's being held under a ridiculous bail. In fact, they are trying to get his bail, and they were already getting his bail. As they were going, they brought another set of conditions for holding Daniel Ojukwu down.
However, the FCT Police Commissioner Bennett C. Igwe said the police is currently looking into the matter and Daniel Ojukwu will soon be released.
So this one, we have looked into the matter. There's no need of this protest. The force management team has taken a lot of things into consideration to release him.
From Abuja, Irene Okechukwu, Rapid TV News.
Abducted editor Segun Olatunji has resigned from his position at First News following an apology made by the management of the media house to the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila. Olatunji, who went 2 weeks in detention after he was abducted by military men from his Lagos home on March 15, 2024, said he had chosen to resign as the general editor at First News for his safety and that of his family. It was learned that the management of the newspaper apologized to Gbajabiamila over a recent news story published on its platform. The story written by Olatunji was titled "How Gbajabiamila Attempted to Corner $30 billion, 66 Houses Traced to Sabiu, a nephew to former President Muhammadu Buhari." The management in a statement on Wednesday said it found out that the story contained falsehoods and fabricated stories handed out to them as facts by a misleading source. However, following this, Olatunji, in a letter addressed to the publisher managing director, First Media Network Limited, on Wednesday said in no distant time the truth will come out and then it will be his word against theirs. Former Speaker Abia State House of Assembly Chinedum Eyinaya Orji has given reasons why he joined the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. Speaking with journalists in Umuahia, Eyinaya Orji said he joined the ruling party because he had a mission to render service on its platform, noting that he decided to join APC because he discovered that President Tinubu is a man of integrity and a nationalist.
When within the state, the ideals for which the party was known for, if those ideas are eroded, there's nothing left but to leave to maybe a more progressive party. I'm not used to going from one party to the other. So for me to contemplate and execute my thoughts about going to switching camp to another party is something that I have thought about and decided that is the best way.
Eyinaya, who is the son of former Governor Theodore Orji, urged the people of the Southeast to learn to build bridges across the country so that they can realize the ambition of producing the next president of Nigeria, saying that the failure of the Igbo to reintegrate with other ethnic nationalities politically was responsible for the retrogression of the race in Nigerian politics.
I told my people during the last election, there is no way an Igbo man can be the president of Nigeria if we don't negotiate. If we don't negotiate power, our people need to listen and open their eyes. There is no way we can be president of Nigeria without negotiating either with the North or with the West. Our votes alone cannot get us the presidency. It's a simple matter. But as you can see, the North had different ideas. The West had different ideas. So where is the vote going to come from? And this thing is voting, number of votes then you cast.
The former speaker revealed that the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, supported his election in 2023 while appealing to his supporters that the guiding principles of party is sacrosanct and must be obeyed at all times, irrespective of one's position in the socio-political strata.
Politics is about interest. No permanent friend, no permanent enemy. It's permanent interest. It's about hope. Nobody should despair that we didn't make it. It's part of politics. Every leader suffers pitfall once in a while, politically, personally, or otherwise. All you need to do is to pick yourself up and move. You don't need to talk about the past. Let the past remain the past. Then you move forward.
The Federal High Court sitting in Asaba, Delta State, has upheld the powers of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and that of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to investigate and prosecute officials of the Delta State government who allegedly engage in corrupt acts. Justice Folashade Olubanjo held that the sister organization, whose core mandate are basically the same, to do in not way violate the principle of federalism and separation of powers embodied in the Constitution. The court gave the judgment in the suit filed by the Attorney General of Delta State challenging the powers of the two anti-corruption agencies to investigate the state government's finances and invite Delta State officials for interviews in the course of investigations. The state government had asked the court to, among other things, declare that by virtue of the provisions of the relevant sections of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, no authority or person either than the state government, the State House of Assembly, and the Auditor General of the state has the constitutional mandate to exercise power or control over the funds standing to the credit of Delta State in the Consolidated Revenue Fund or any other state public funds. In her judgment, Justice Olubanjo disagreed with the plaintiff and held that Nigeria practices cooperative federalism, and as such the fight against corruption is a function of both the state and the federal government. She accordingly dismissed the suits for lack of merit. Aside from a few students celebrated for scoring above 300 in the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, the more concerning revelation is that 77% scored below 200 in the exam. The total score for the UTME is 400, comprising 4 subjects chosen by a candidate to determine his or her eligibility for tertiary education in their desired field. Following the release of these results and information, Nigerians have been actively engaging in discussions to identify potential reasons for the widespread failure and offer suggestions to various stakeholders, including the government, JAMB, parents, school teachers, and CBT owners, among others. Our correspondent, Oluwapelumi King Adeneye, who carried out a survey, have more in this report.
Recently released results of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examination have shown a significant increase in math failure among candidates across Nigeria. The distressing statistics have prompted widespread concerns among educators and policymakers alike, shedding light on the systemic issues plaguing the country's educational landscape. Educational expert and tutor Chukwuebuka Okoro attributed the alarming failure rate to a combination of factors stemming from both students and the educational system itself. Okoro emphasized the urgent need for the government to prioritize the enhancement of educational infrastructures to uplift the quality of education nationwide and for students to increase preparedness for the examination, urging for an improvement in the educational syllabus and innovations in the examination system.
Some students have seen education as a scam. This thing is not working. Why should I waste my time in the secondary school, in the university, and at the end of the day, there's no job? They want to hit it, they want to blow. Parents, we need help from the parents. Most parents are lagging behind when it comes to taking seriously the education of their children. The exam is CBT. Most public schools don't have access to well-developed and well-equipped computer laboratories. There's no well-equipped computer laboratories in some, and these guys are meeting the computer for the first time, and they don't know how to maneuver this tool. So if the public schools are well equipped with computer education, from the cradle, from the JS classes up to the SS classes, they are acquainted with the computer, I think this problem would have been solved. Fund education. Give us well-developed labs in public schools. The private sector, they are doing very well. Not all of them do, give us access to quality education. ICT should be introduced from primary school. Let children know what a computer is. Let them know how to use a computer. In fact, if we can do CBT exams in schools, they can be inculcated, they can be imbibed.
Furthermore, candidates themselves have expressed grievances regarding the examination process, with some alleging that JAMB deviated from the standard syllabus in setting this year's exams. Frustrated by what they perceive as an unfair assessment framework, students urge the examination board to reconsider its approach and ensure alignment with established curricula, while also soliciting for universities to decrease the cutoff marks for admission.
So it was kind of a trial for me. Though I wrote well, I thought of myself that I wrote well and I ought to get a higher score. But at the end, I found myself getting a lower score. And I don't know why that happened. The experience which I had in that jam, for about 3 minutes of my, immediately I entered into the computer system. I couldn't answer anything due to the question I saw immediately. I don't know what really caused that, but that's by the way. For me, I can say this generation, they are getting much involved in their phones and all that, so they don't really have time for their books. One would prefer watching a movie than reading his books because they feel that it is more it's less stressful and all that. I think it will affect the cutoff, but I don't really know. It depends on the schools and JAMB.
Some systems had issues, like when people were writing, some went off and people didn't read well, and also the questions they brought were tougher than we expected. I really think it will affect the cutoff because the mass failure, in my own understanding, the government might reduce the cutoff marks so that students will be able to enter into the university.
However, the path forward remains uncertain as stakeholders grapple with the complex interplay of systemic challenges and immediate remedies. While demands for improved educational infrastructure persist, the urgency of addressing the immediate fallout of mass student failure cannot be overstated. Oluwapelumi King Adeni reporting for Rapid TV News, Umuahia.
The Kaduna State government has disclosed plans to merge a total of 359 schools over incessant activities of bandits which had resulted in cases of abduction and kidnapping in the state. Speaking at a stakeholders forum and the training of the school's protection squad on Wednesday, Governor Uba Sani, represented by his chief of staff Sani Kila, said the schools in vulnerable communities will be merged with those in safe locations as part of measures to safeguard the schools and children from being attacked by bandits. According to him, the launched school protection squad under the federal government's Safe School initiative is aimed at securing schools, children and teachers from all forms of attacks by bandits and terrorists, while noting that Kaduna is one of the states that has been waging a sustained battle against banditry, terrorism, kidnapping and other forms of criminality. Kila lamented that the activities of non-state actors have disrupted socio-economic activities in the affected communities and are threatening the educational revitalization program of the state. The Nigerian government is set to commence a fresh audit of the 2.8 trillion fuel subsidy claim by the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited. An audit firm, KPMG, had conducted an initial audit reducing the claims from 6 trillion naira to 2.7 trillion naira. The federal government is also considering other engaging an external audit firm or directing the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation to verify the claims made by the corporation regarding the amount the government owes the oil firm. On May 30, 2023, a few hours after President Bola Tinubu announced that subsidy is gone, the NNPCL Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari told State House correspondent that the federal government still owes the firm the sum of 2.8 trillion naira spent on petrol subsidy, while saying the NNPCL footed petrol subsidy bills from its cash flow. Kyari said the government has so far been unable to pay back the 2.8 trillion naira. The Lagos State government has disclosed that the sum of 3.9 billion naira has been realized since it became an oil-producing state, but the production has been hampered due to challenges faced by the company managing its exploration. The State Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Biodun Ogunleye, made this known on Wednesday at the 2024 ministerial press briefing to mark the second term of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at Alausa, Ikeja. Ogunleye said Lagos State, which joined the League of Oil-Producing States in the country in 2016, has received a total of 3.9 billion naira as its share of the 13% derivation fund. Oil-producing states are entitled to 13% derivation fund from the federation account. Other oil-producing states are Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa State, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and Rivers. You're still watching Rapid Television News. Don't go anywhere. Still to come, Nigeria's foreign reserves surged by $262 million after weeks of decline. Foreign stories and sports coming your way. I'll see you.
The hunt for the next Afrobeat superstar is on, and the stage is set for the showdown.
As an Afrobeat song, I think we did justice to that.
This is Naija Star Search Season 2, where dreams become reality. With over 2,000 entries and limited spots, which of these promising talents will enter the Naija Star Search House to compete for the share of the grand prize of 20 million naira? Join the host, Ahis, and acclaimed judges Rapstar Vector, Delectable Sasha P, and Music Maestro, Cobams, as they take us on a journey to discover the next Afrobeat superstar. Don't miss the premiere of Naija Star Search Season 2 on April 20th at 8 p.m. exclusively on ST Nollywood Plus, and April 27th at 7 p.m. on ST Nollywood Epic. Get ready! Naija Star Search. Afrobeats to the world.
Welcome back. Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves have recently surged by $262 million after weeks of decline. The Central Bank of Nigeria's latest figures showed an upward movement of the country's foreign reserves. Specifically, Nigeria reserve rose to $32.369 billion as of May 6, 2024, an improvement from a one-month dip of $32.107 billion. According to CBN's data, the reserve stood at $34.450 billion on March 18, but declined to $32.107 billion on April 19. However, with the recent uptick in the Nigerian government between April 19, 2024 and May 6, 2024, the country's forex reserve experienced a rise from $32.107 billion to $32.369 billion. Meanwhile, the country's foreign exchange crisis has persisted. Godwin Amunde is up next.
Hello, welcome to Business News Update. A federal high court in Abuja has granted bail to former Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika, his daughter, and two others in the sum of 100 million naira with two sureties. Sirika and others are being tried over an alleged 2.7 billion naira fraud. The sureties, according to the court, must have landed properties in Abuja and also responsible citizens. Also, the sureties must depose to an affidavit of means. The court also restricted the defendant from traveling abroad without its permission. Justice Origi ordered that the defendants be remanded in prison custody if they failed to meet their bail conditions. Recall that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in April took the ex-aviation minister into custody and grilled him for this. The anti-graft agency then slammed 6 count charge on Hadi Sirika, his his daughter, and 2 others. The anti-graft agency accused Sirika of conferring undue advantage on some entities between April 2022 and March 2023 in Abuja. EFCC alleged that Sirika abused his office by awarding 1.3 billion naira consultancy contract for the Nigerian Air start-up to Tienero Nigeria Limited. According to EFCC, his actions were contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. Proposal by President Bola Tinubu to allow the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justices of the Supreme Court, President of the Court of Appeal, and other judicial officers in the country get jumbo salaries allowances has got a boost in the Senate as a bill to this has killed second reading. The bill, which seeks to amend certain political, public, and judicial office holders' salaries and allowances, Act No. 6, 2002, as amended by deleting Section 2B, Part 2 of the Schedule of the Act and other provisions relating to judicial office holders. The bill, when signed into law by President Bola Tinubu, is to take effect from 1st January 2024. To this effect, a bill seeking to prescribe salaries, allowances, and fringe benefits for judicial officers in order to nip in the bud the prolonged stagnation in their remuneration in order to reflect the contemporary social-economic realities of the present day has killed second reading in the Senate. After it was passed for second reading, the bill was referred to the Senator Mohammed Tahir Mangonu, APC, Borno North-led Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters to report back in 4 weeks. And of course, to round it up in business, European markets were mixed on Thursday as positive momentum slipped on a busy week of earnings. The Stock 600 index was up 0.03% at 13:06 a.m. London time. Sectors were a mixed bag, with autos falling 1.3% as oil and gas stocks nudged 0.9% higher. The Bank of England announced it would hold interest rates steady, which was in line with expectations. More policymakers voted in favor of the rate cut at the BOE's previous meeting. However, the number remained low with just 2 policymakers. The UK's FTSE 100 hit a fresh record high following the news and was last up to 0.47%. And that's it on Business News Update. Godwin Amundi, Rapid Television News continues. Good evening.
Welcome back. About 10 people were injured when a Boeing 737 plane carrying 85 people skidded off a runway at the airport in Dakar, Senegal's capital. This was confirmed by the country's Transport Minister Malik Diaye, who revealed that the affected aircraft was an Air Senegal flight operated by Transair. He said the plane was headed to Bamako with 79 passengers, 2 pilots and 4 cabin crew. The Aviation Safety Network, which tracks airline accidents, published photos of the damaged plane in a grassy field surrounded by fire suppressant foam. Arthur Brooks is on standby for more stories on the foreign scene.
A warm welcome to the international news. I am Arthur James Brooks. Ghana's Supreme Court postponed a hearing on a challenge to the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill on Wednesday. The court's decision stemmed from the use of insulting language in legal submissions by both sides. The bill, if passed, would be one of Africa's most restrictive, criminalizing same-sex relationships and LGBTQ advocacy. This development comes after President Nana Akufo-Addo assured the international community that Ghana wouldn't abandon its human rights record. The postponed hearing comes amidst criticism from rights groups who fear the bill's repercussions similar to those seen in other African nations. Proponents of the bill claim it protects children and abuse victims. The court has directed lawyers to revise their arguments and remove any offensive language before the case can proceed. Now we move to Kenya, where Kenya's public hospital doctors have finally returned to work after signing an agreement with the government to end a grueling 56-day strike. The deal signed on May 8th brings relief to millions of Kenyans who rely on public healthcare and faced disruptions during the walkouts. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, went on strike in mid-March, demanding better pay, improved working conditions and addressing salary arrears. The agreement reportedly tackles some of these issues, but details haven't fully been released. While both sides express satisfaction with the deal, a sticking point remains the immediate hiring of trainee doctors. The KMPDU says further talks will address this concern. Health Minister Susan Nakumicha praised doctors' negotiating skills and acknowledged the strain on the healthcare system. The strike's conclusion allows hospitals to resume normal operations and provide much-needed medical services to the public. Finally, to Russia, as Russian President Vladimir Putin accused the West in a speech on Thursday of risking a global conflict and said no one would be allowed to threaten the world's biggest nuclear power as Russia marked the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Putin was addressing Russian servicemen on Red Square. He stated in a short speech as snow whipped across Red Square, Russia will do everything to prevent a global clash, but at the same time we will not allow anyone to threaten us. Our strategic forces are always in a state of combat readiness. As Russian troops advanced against Ukraine's Western-backed forces, Putin accused arrogant Western elites of forgetting the decisive role played by the Soviet Union in defeating Nazi Germany and accused them of stoking conflicts across the world. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening. I am Arthur James Brooks.
Let's now move on to our entertainment segment.
Good evening and welcome to Entertainment News. Nollywood actress Shan George said she has now recovered the 3.6 million naira stolen from her bank account. The actress took to her Instagram account on May 8, 2024 to express her gratitude to the bank and people who assisted her in recovering her funds. She also prayed for those who assisted her financially in her pursuit to get her looted money. During her live session that night, she revealed that her money was stolen while she was trying to attain her bank statement to apply for a visa. George explained how it happened, stressing that she was targeted before getting scammed by the fraudster, who sent her an email pretending to be Zenith Bank. This comes after the actress cried for help on social media after a sum of 3.6 million naira was stolen from her bank account by an individual identified as Cecilia Chiagoziem Okoro on the 3rd of May 2024. Merely an hour after her funds were stolen, she took to Instagram and beckoned on her bank for assistance. The New York African Film Festival will feature Over the Bridge and 2 other Nollywood movies among a lineup of 50 films from over 25 countries. The festival showcases African and diaspora films in the United States. With the theme Convergence of Time, the festival's 31st edition this year examines the meeting point of historical and modern roles performed by those who represent Africa and its diaspora in art. The film Over the Bridge tells the story of Folari Mariho, played by Oziagu, an investment banker plagued by an alcohol problem and intermittent panic attacks. This year, Over the Bridge was the most nominated film at the AMVCA with a total of 12 nominations. Kenneth Young's film This Is Lagos follows Gabriel Afolayan's character Steve-O, a promising rapper who has to deal with the consequences of his criminal past after a failed heist. The film received nominations for 4 AMVCA categories in 2024.
Misdemeanor. I saw great. I'm sorry. I cannot help you, Folari. Cut your losses. Get out.
I saw determination. For this job, you're either leading the race or losing.
I'm just tired of making excuses.
And finally, Jimmy Donaldson, widely known as Mr. Beast, is marking his 26th birthday with an extravagant gesture where he will be gifting away 26 Teslas. Jimmy Mr. Beast Donaldson's main YouTube channel is the second most subscribed channel on the Google-owned platform. The 26-year-old star has 256 million subscribers and counting. The Tesla giveaway bonanza is not new to the world's most popular YouTuber, as he is known for his extravagant philanthropic ventures and stunts, including a $1 million cash giveaway, among others. The announcement was made via Mr. Beast's Instagram and other social media platforms, accompanied by a video showing him amidst 25 Tesla Model 3S and a lone Cybertruck, which serves as the grand prize. And that's it on entertainment. My name is Ugochukwu Madumere.
And now moving on to sports, the Spanish Football Federation on Thursday accepted Atletico Madrid's appeal against a partial stadium ban after racial abuse directed at Atletico Bilbao winger Nico Williams. Atletico was initially ordered to partially close their stadium for 2 La Liga matches following monkey chants heard by Spain international Williams at Atletico Metropolitano Stadium last month. The federation pointed to Atletico's active cooperation in their decision to lift the stadium ban and a €20,000, that's $21,350 fine. Williams heard the abuse when he went to take a corner. He subsequently scored, pointing to his arm in reference to his skin color in his side's 3-1 defeat on April 28. Atletico identified the person responsible for the abuse from cameras in the stadium. He was handed over to the police when the game ended and banned from the club. The federation praised Atletico's swift action in what they accepted was an isolated incident. Spanish football has suffered a spate of racist incidents in recent years, many of which have been aimed at Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. The Brazil international earned global support after facing off with a fan who was abusing him last year at Valencia's Mestalla Stadium, which also faced subsequent partial closure. Newly appointed Super Eagles coach Finidi George has listed 3 foreigners in a 5-man technical crew that will include former Nigeria international Daniel Mokachi and current goalkeepers trainer Abidin Barua. Finidi George and chieftains of the Nigeria Football Federation have been meeting over the last few days to iron out the final details of a contract for the former Ajax Amsterdam winger, who was recently announced as the substantive manager of the national team following the departure of Portuguese coach Jose Peseiro after the silver medal finish at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. The issue of others that will work with Finidi George has dominated discussions in sports cycles, but sources at the NFF has now hinted that the 52-year-old coach has tabled a proposal of 5 technical crew, with words rife that a German Nigerian has been listed as first assistant, with Mokachi to be second assistant, while Barua will maintain his status as the goalkeeper's trainer. There are places for 2 more foreign assistants who will serve as physical trainer and match analyst, respectively. Napoli striker Victor Osimhen is currently said to be keen on a move to the Premier League, and he is willing to reject Paris Saint-Germain. Chelsea recently made contact to understand the possibility of a deal for Osimhen and whether Napoli would be interested in taking cash plus Romelu Lukaku and a younger player in the move. Napoli, it was later reported, are interested in signing the Belgian this summer. Reports say Osimhen would rather wait for Premier League clubs to make an approach instead of joining PSG. The possibility of playing at PSG doesn't excite Osimhen because he has already played in France with Lille, and 2 teams that can possibly land him in the Premier League are both Arsenal and Chelsea. In the meantime, Napoli are talking to Chelsea about a deal which could involve Osimhen and Lukaku, and a move to PSG looks unlikely at this point. Nigeria's under-17 girls, Flamingos, will today depart the shores of country for Bamako, capital Mali, ahead of Saturday's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup African Qualification Series third round. First leg encounter against their counterpart from Burkina Faso. The Nigerian girls have appeared in only one edition of the competition, Uruguay 2018, since it was launched in New Zealand in 2008, and are set for a handsome win in the Malian capital to make the return leg in Abuja on 18 May a formality. Despite a 9-1 hammering of their opponents in a preparatory game, head coach Bankole Oluwokere insisted his girls have to realize there is a difference between training sessions and match situations and learn to convert all their opportunities during games. And that's the much we can take on the news at this time. Before we go, here's a recap of our major stories. Nigerian Senate okays death penalty for drug traffickers. Reps direct CBN to suspend cybersecurity levy. Nigeria's foreign reserves surged by $262 million after weeks of decline. On the foreign scene, 10 people injured as Boeing 737 skids off runway at Senegal Airport. And in sports, Atletico win appeal over racist abuse sanction. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Cynthia Agbo. Do not forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Visit our website for more interesting content. Do have yourself a pleasant night rest.